Okay, but if we go with what you're saying, how long do we fight? How long does Ukraine fight? How much money do we spend? How many years of war do we have to endure? And what if Ukraine just doesn't win? So let's say we go another 2 years, 5 years, 20 years. How do we resolve it if Ukraine can't win?
In this video, Cenk Uygur and General Wesley Clark joined the panel on Piers Morgan Uncensored. Cenk Uygur and the general argue whether or not the United States should stay involved in the war in Ukraine. With that, let's watch General Wesley Clark and the rest of the panel wreck Cenk Uygur on Piers Morgan Uncensored.
Back down, we didn't have war. Now, Mr. Trump has put himself in an extremely difficult position. But all of our talk about Ukraine and telling Ukraine in advance, are you going to have to give up your territory? And by the way, you're not going to be a member of NATO. Let's not do any of this right now. Let's put the forces, let's get the forces in Ukraine the weapons and support they need so that the people who have already been mobilized can have these weapons and provide the reserves that are necessary in Ukraine. Let's leave an open-ended commitment for Mr. Trump. Let's tell the Ukrainians, strike to your heart's content in Russia. You get no sanctuary, Mr. Putin. You started this, you pay the price. And then let's go into the talk with understanding what we want. We want all of Ukraine's land back. We want reparations. We want the children returned. We want the missing people accounted for. And we want the war criminals put on trial. And then we can talk about sanctions relief. No sanctions relief until the conditions are satisfied. And, it's very hard for democracies to be able to stand up to a man like Putin. He doesn't have to worry about re-election. But we need the leadership in the West. I've seen it in some countries. Macron sometimes comes off very strong. Britain has come off very strong in this. And right now, the Biden administration is trying to surge support into Ukraine. And I think President Trump, when he comes in, is going to realize that whatever his relationship is with Mr. Putin and however many times he's called him, he's not going to easily give in and sacrifice Ukraine. He can't afford to. And Putin's already threatened him.
Pierce.
Putin's already told him that he's worried about his safety. That's like Tony Soprano saying to you, I'm really worried about the way you're walking across the street.
Well, I don't agree with any of this. I don't understand why we're sending all this money to Ukraine. I don't think Donald Trump's given him any yet, but I believe there's still $100 billion earmarked or allocated for Ukraine. So I don't know where we stand on that. I think that Zelensky should have signed the mineral deal with the U.S., not acted like a jackass in the White House, and we'd be much further along now. I, like Donald Trump and so many other people, I just want the killing to stop, and I'm just tired of funding other people's wars. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Anyway, let's get back to the video.
So I'm not angry, Piers, except that there's a lot of misinformation out
I hear
here.
you.
Can I get in here and respond now, Piers, please?
Thank you.
Yeah, okay, General, thank you. Just if you don't mind, I'll bring the others in. I've got to say, you have articulated exactly what I've been feeling this entire time. And I've started to think I was going completely mad. But to have somebody with your experience, particularly about from the very start of NATO, outlining what I believe has been the way this has all played out, is actually quite reassuring to me that I've not gone nuts. Let me bring in Cenk, because you've not had a chance to respond for a while. Scott, I'm going to come to you. Scott, I will come to you after Cenk. I must let Cenk have his say. Cenk, you've been listening to all this, very different opinions, but what is your reaction?
Yeah, I want to tell you my thoughts, and then I actually would love to ask General Clark a question. And so, look, I understand both sides of this equation. And so if you're the Ukrainians, imagine if some other nation had taken 20% of America. Would we want to give up? Would we want to go, oh, yeah, it's okay. Just take Alabama, Mississippi, Texas, etc. It's fine. No, we'd hate it, and we'd fight forever, right? So I understand that. On the other hand, when General Clark starts talking about the nuclear weapons, I get super scared because what if Trump's bluff gets called at some point? Trump's main bluff is, oh, yeah, you better not mess with me. I'm crazy. I'll make this war much bigger if you mess with me. Yeah, but what if Putin says, yeah, go ahead? Well, then we're in a lot of trouble, right? because I don't want to get involved in a war like this. I don't want to get involved with nuclear weapons, etc. On the other hand, your point about Russian aggression is definitely true. I can't stand these people starting wars, taking territory, and it breaks my heart to see it, the kidnapped children, etc. So, but General,
If you like watching videos like this one, like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Let's get back to the video.
Clark, the question I wanted to ask you, and you know how much I respect you, and we have a relationship before. And by the way, the audience should know, General Clark is the one that called out the neocons for trying to invade 7 countries at once, including the Iraq War. And so he's earned a lot of respect by doing that. But General Clark, this is a genuine question, which is, okay, but if we go with what you're saying, how long do we fight? How long does Ukraine fight? How much money do we spend? How many years of war do we have to endure? And what if Ukraine just doesn't win? So let's say we go another 2 years, 5 years, 20 years. How do we resolve it if Ukraine can't win?
Well, I think what you have to do is understand that this war will go on until Putin believes he can't win. So all the discussion in the West about how to...
Wow, I didn't realize this video is going to be like this. Now they're not even talking about ending the war. They're talking about what's best for Ukrainians. And Cenk used such a dumb example when he said, what if some other country came to the U.S. and took 20% of the country? We wouldn't take that, would we? Of course we wouldn't, but we're in a very different position. Why the hell is it our job to fund their war? I really don't get it. Still, why can't Europe chip in and fund their war if it's such an important war? I just have to believe that the Biden administration and Ukraine were in cahoots because of, I don't know, like the Hunter Biden connection, among multiple other reasons. We know how Zelensky and the entire government is shady there and corrupt as hell. Anyway, let's wrap it up.
preemptively surrender territory and all this it all feeds Putin's appetite. He understands from all this discussion that the West is weakening in its will, and therefore if he just keeps shoving soldiers forward, that eventually the West will comply and cut off assistance to Ukraine and tell Ukraine, good luck, hope you enjoy being part of Poland again, because that's his aim. He doesn't really care about Lviv. What he wants is the north coast of the Black Sea and Odessa, and of course Kharkiv and Kyiv and so forth, and then he wants the rest of Europe, Eastern Europe, that used to be under Soviet dominion. He needs this in order to be able to confront China, and this is the ultimate fear of Russia and its leadership. And they know they can't confront China unless they have control over Eastern Europe, including the Baltics and Poland, and the rest of the Balkan Peninsula. And so it's a long-term geostrategic game. And Cenk, I just tell you this: there's no American soldiers over there getting killed, and most of the money that's been appropriated by the United States has gone to buy new weapons in the United States. We're giving them the old stuff, the old ATACMs. We've just recently even reprioritized our military sales program. We're still selling ATACMs to Morocco. Now, why does Morocco need 60 ATACMs? I don't know. But we're selling stuff off Patriots all over the world. That stuff should go to Ukraine. As long as the United States stands firm, we won't have nuclear weapons and nuclear war. Putin doesn't want it either. But he does believe right now.
I actually thought we'd be a lot further along in the peace negotiations by now. I think I'm maybe a little naive and optimistic, but this is ridiculous to say it's going to come to nuclear war. That's definitely not going to happen. It would have happened if Biden had another 4 years in office, or possibly Democrats, the Warhawk Democrats. But these guys are just silly bringing up nuclear war. But what do you guys think? Do we need to stop sending money over to Ukraine, or is there an altruistic or strategic reason to keep doing it? Please let me know in the comments. Anyway, as always, really appreciate you watching, and we will see you on the next one.